I was on a telephone pole in Queens, New York, when the first plane hit the World Trade Centers on 9/11. As dust-covered people ran from the clouds of smoke, my friend Pat and I chose to run into the mayhem. We parked about a mile from the down towers, and we were forced to rip the sleeves off our shirts, creating makeshift dust masks. I'll never forget seeing the most horrific sights imaginable and almost becoming buried when Tower 7 fell. The next morning on September 12th, we found a bagel cart smashed and laying on its side. We salvaged what we could and we headed to the river. Overcome by the magnitude of what had just happened, I'll never forget what my friend said to me. Micah, what are we gonna do? I simply had a choice to make in that moment. Either I accept this or I don't. That was the single greatest loss I had ever experienced in my life up until that moment. I was nobody special, just a small town kid from upstate New York who played drums in a ska band and climbed telephone poles for a living. But that morning I decided I would do something different. I decided I would join the military. And after completing the hardest training on this planet, I became a Navy SEAL and later a paramilitary defense contractor. Over both careers, I'd spent a little over 1,100 days deployed in combat zones and hotspots around the world. But for me, coming home would be the greatest challenge I would ever face. I had a good life, a good home life, but that life was happening inside of a snow globe. There would be days with activity and happiness and excitement, but I was always on the outside looking in. I couldn't touch it, I couldn't connect. It makes you feel isolated and alone. It humbles you and tests you minute by minute. One day, I'm tip of the spear, Special Operations Combat Unit. The next day, I'm at Whole Foods with cheddar bunnies and a head of lettuce. I had some downtime before I began my new contracting career, and I got a pretty bad common cold, so I decided to head to the VA and test out my new healthcare benefits. Well, about 4 hours later, a young grad student diagnosed me with combat-related PTSD and bipolar disorder. She prescribed me a series of medications and counseling that was supposed to return me to some form of pre-combat state. I left that day, and I've never returned. I knew I needed to change, and I knew I needed to feel again. So 2 weeks later, I bought a ticket, and I left for the Amazon. I wasn't sure why I went there or what I was even looking for, but I knew I needed to feel. I was hurting and alone and plagued by the conversation with this grad student. Weeks later, my life would become extremely hard. I flew into a small town called Manaus in the northern Amazon. There, I hired a local Indian guide who would take me deep into the heart of the jungle. Meals of cane rats, fish, bugs, plants, whatever other kind of things we could forage were the complete normal. Days and days would go by without even speaking, but it really didn't matter because opening your mouth only meant that more bugs would fly into it. I remember feeling so isolated and so alone out there that I would stare at my broken GPS and look at it like it was some kind of magical tether to the outside world. As intense and as challenging as that experience was, it was a major turning point in my life. When I returned home from the jungle, I began my new contracting career and life as a veteran. For the first time, I began learning about my veteran community and how so many had literally been devolved into literal zombies. Stories of medication, pills, joblessness, homelessness, suicide. It was staggering. These once great warriors now popping pills, hiding in their houses, waiting for their next check to come to the mailbox. I didn't want any part of that. So in 2013, I packed up everything on a total whim, and I moved my family to Montana. That first summer here, we knew no one. So while on rotation home, I decided to try my hand at gardening. I got a pickaxe, and we had a large plot of ground behind the house, and daily I would hack away at this project every single day. That summer, I would wage a new war, and this war was against voles. And my weapons of choice, WD-40, lighter fluid. Overcome with excitement, I would look in the windowsill of my house, waiting for my little seedlings to spring forth. I couldn't stand this torturous process. Daily, I would secretly go over and remove the dirt away from them, letting them reach into the sunlight a little easier, a little faster. They all died, every one of them. Every one of them died. I remember in that moment thinking to myself, what if I just help them to death? What if struggle is the answer? What if without struggle, we die? They fundamentally needed struggle as the key component to growth, and I had stopped that process. We stopped that process. That same summer, I went on a backpacking trip, and I headed deep into the backcountry with my little girl. And while on that trip, I met some cowboys with horses. It would be the best and worst experience of my life. They would reintroduce me to horses and also to every crook, liar, and charlatan from here to the Rio Grande. More heartache, more struggle. But it was in that moment where I realized how I had arrived there, why I arrived there, what I was doing there. It all came into view. I would not take the pills and diagnosis and counseling from a young grad student. Instead, I would take control of the only thing we'll ever own in this life, our choices. It's here where freedom lives. I had little to no horse experience at the time, and there was nobody there to pat me on the back. During that learning process, I was kicked, bucked off, dragged, stomped on. I even watched horses die. But it was through these obstacles where I began to take ownership of my life again. And these horses, they became a mirror reflection to my soul, showing me that the problems of my life were caused by me not embracing the struggles. Things became easier as I began to take ownership of my choices. And this insane process became amazing, peaceful, and healing. Through heartache and struggle, Heroes and Horses was formed. Today, Heroes and Horses is a 40-day reintegration program for combat veterans in the backcountry of Montana. It's a high-pressure medium that uses horses, mules, and raw environmental challenges, a place where veterans find healing and purpose through struggle. It is not the easy way, because from my experiences in life, the easy way kills you, just like the plants on my windowsill. Unfortunately, everything in modern day society is designed to take the struggle away. Plastic surgery, drugs, money, social media, cars. It doesn't make you any happier. It doesn't make you any stronger. It doesn't make you any more fulfilled in any way. It only temporarily shields you from the fear that lives deep in your heart. The fear of not knowing who you are or why you're even here. Struggle hurts, yes. Growth hurts, yes. But it's supposed to. It's the design of every living thing. I believe it's struggle that actually gives things in life value and provides us a place where we learn about ourselves, a place where we find healing, growth, and transformation, even through the most difficult of circumstances. In this life, you always have a choice. The easy way will kill you. Struggle will save you. It will provide you an opportunity to find your individual purpose, and purpose allows you to overcome your external circumstances. I believe that struggle is the answer, but that choice is fundamentally yours. Thank you.